Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something, well, a little different.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
Our source material isn't, some dense academic paper. It's actually a story.
A metaphorical story. It's called The Traveler's Quest for Language Motivation.
And it's designed to really distill the most critical and honestly the most overlooked insights into mastering English. Or, any second language, really.
That's absolutely right. So for anyone listening who's ever wrestled with a textbook or just felt totally overwhelmed by vocabulary lists.
Which is everyone who's ever tried.
Exactly. This deep dive is your shortcut. We're pulling out the essential psychological and practical nuggets from this story.
Okay, so let's set the stage. The story starts with a traveler, and his goal is crystal clear.
Super clear. He wants to explore the world. He imagines himself in busy markets, walking on strange roads, talking to people who are completely different from him.
But his own language, as beautiful as it is also a barrier. It kind of isolates him in his small village.
It's his whole world, but it's also his cage.
So he has this perfect motivation, this huge driving desire for adventure and connection. But he starts down completely the wrong path.
The path we all recognize. He saves money, he buys the grammar books.
Diligently underlining every example sentence.
Oh yeah, but the effort, even with that massive motivation, it's just failing.
And what's the core problem the story points to here?
It's the disconnect, a total disconnect between the means and the end. The story says his mind was constantly wandering.
He'd fall asleep dreaming of these faraway places.
And then wake up still completely unable to speak the language. The books, for all their information, felt, and this is the quote, cold and empty.
That phrase, cold and empty, just nails it. It's the failure of passive learning, isn't it?
It is.
You can absorb information, but if you don't actively engage with it, it just sits there. It's like he was studying for a history exam, not learning a skill.
Precisely. It was all input and accuracy,
Yeah.
not output, not function. He was missing what we now call, deliberate practice.
Kind that pushes you.
Pushes you right out of your comfort zone and demands you apply it right now. He was basically hoping for fluency by osmosis, and that just doesn't work.
Okay, so this brings us to the catalyst, the turning point. A young woman visits the village, and she speaks his language, but not perfectly.
Yes, she's the perfect mirror image of his academic approach. She speaks his difficult local language with this enchanting, strange accent.
And she gets things wrong.
Oh, all the time. She chooses the wrong words sometimes. She even uses the wrong tense.
But, and this is the whole point, she was successful. She could communicate. The villagers are laughing with her, trading, listening to her stories.
It just completely obliterates the idea that you need grammatical perfection before you can engage with the real world.
It's a perfect example of what language theory calls the affective filter hypothesis, right?
Exactly. Her confidence was high, her anxiety, that affective filter, was way down. She was willing to make mistakes.
She prioritized communication over correctness.
And because of that, she could apply the language immediately. Her imperfect version of the language was totally functional.
That reframes the whole concept of practice. It's not about being correct. It's about being understood.
That's the only metric that matters at that stage. So when the traveler asks her for the secret, she doesn't hand him a dictionary.
No, she gives him a quest.
A quest. She tells him to walk east for 3 or 4 days, find an old man with a white beard by a deep, quiet lake. But she also whispers a hint to him before she leaves. She makes him understand that this knowledge needs a journey, not just an answer.
And so the real journey begins. He steps out of his small world. He's sleeping under the stars, feeling the world get bigger with every step.
Away from his village and away from his books.
He finds the lake, the old man on a large stone, and he's expecting some, ancient, complicated secret. What does the old man tell him?
The secret is brutally simple. It has 2 layers. First, the practical part. To learn English, you must use it.
No way around it.
None. You have to speak it, read it, listen to it. You have to produce output.
Okay, so use it is the action. But the insight that sustains the action, that's deeper, isn't it?
Absolutely. The second part is the engine. The old man says, you must find your motivation, traveler, or you will learn nothing.
And that's the core psychological blueprint.
Right. Effort runs out. Motivation is what regenerates it.
And what's so interesting is the difference between his initial motivation travel, which was kind of extrinsic, and the deeper motivation he now needs.
Yeah, he wanted the result of the language, but he hadn't found any joy in the process.
Right.
The old man is telling him he needs to shift toward intrinsic motivation, finding satisfaction in the act of learning itself. Because if you only focus on the end goal, the immediate pain of making mistakes just overwhelms that distant reward.
You need a burning why.
A why that fuels the daily, grueling effort.
Speaking of grueling, the old man then immediately warns him against the temptation of shortcuts.
He does. And the warnings feel incredibly relevant for today. First, he says, don't waste time measuring yourself against what someone else created.
Yeah. Oh, that is powerful. That's the social media trap right there. Comparing your messy beginning to someone else's polished final product.
It steals your joy and it distracts you from your own path.
And the second warning feels like it was written for the internet age.
It really does. He says, beware those who promise a quick answer or suggest listening to the language in your sleep, hoping it will fall into your dreams.
That passive learning myth, the idea you can learn without effort, it's so tempting because the truth is so hard.
And the old man offers no sugarcoating. He grounds the traveler in reality. He stresses that learning a language is one of the most difficult things that a human could try to learn.
It's a long road.
A long road with no shortcuts that work for everyone.
Yeah.
He's making it clear that the danger isn't laziness. The danger is believing in false promises, because that stops you from committing to the real hard work. You have to accept the difficulty first.
This acceptance is a huge turning point, but the traveler still struggles. He pushes back. He says, I'm not in love with the English language. I simply want to travel.
Yeah, he's basically saying, why do I need to spend years on perfect grammar if my goal is just practical communication?
Which is a fair question.
It is. And this is where the old man's instruction becomes truly transformative. He doesn't dismiss the traveler's goal, he validates it. He realizes the traveler doesn't need more grammar rules, he needs a different environment.
So he tells him to keep walking.
Keep walking through the woods to a new village with different smells and different people.
The instruction shifts completely from conceptual study to, well, to immediate sensory experience.
Completely. The command is so specific. Explore this village, taste their food, watch their faces, and the language part is embedded right in that command to live.
He says, in this village, you can find a person or two who speaks English. Learn a few words from each of them.
It's a just-in-time learning model. He's telling him to seek out real interactions and learn only what he immediately needs, instead of front-loading all this academic study that feels useless.
So he was basically told to abandon the structured curriculum. That seems almost rebellious.
It is rebellious. It prioritizes fluency and immersion over accuracy, especially early on. He's demanding the traveler stop thinking of English as a school subject and start thinking of it as a tool for connection.
And then, as the final piece, the old man gives him this written testament, a long message on a brown piece of paper folded many times.
Yes, his new manifesto.
Which he has to repeat to himself while he walks.
And we should pull out the core points here because this is the operational advice for you, for the listener. The paper starts with this distinction. To learn a language, one must use it. To learn to live a language, one must live it.
That's the fundamental shift. It's not about verb conjugations anymore. It's about tying the language to your identity, your life goals. When you live it, you integrate it into your pursuit of happiness or knowledge.
Then he repeats the core mandate. I must find my motivation or I will learn nothing. This is him reaffirming that the psychological foundation has to be there.
And he also confirms he won't believe the false promises, but not because he's lazy.
Right. But because he has accepted that learning is hard, and that acceptance, paradoxically, frees him from the guilt of failure.
And the final commitment is almost a paradox itself. He accepts that the journey is endless.
But in accepting that, he realizes that's why it's rewarding and will open up the world. It's an embrace of the process, not just the outcome. He understands fluency isn't a mountain peak you conquer. It's a river you're always navigating.
So after reading and repeating this, the traveler sits down, and he has his breakthrough moment. What clarity does he find?
He finally cements his true motivation. It wasn't just traveling, that's too general. It was exploring and meeting people whose stories are different from his.
That specific human connection, that's the intrinsic fuel he was missing.
That's it. He realizes the grammar books were a tactical distraction from his real strategic objective.
And based on this, he makes a practical plan.
A simple one. He decides to stop worrying about being perfect. He consciously deprioritizes the prepositions, the advanced grammar, for now.
His focus shifts entirely.
To the new places and the real conversations he wants to have. He resolves to learn English on the way as he needed it.
That is such a powerful strategy. It's prioritizing communication momentum over perfect accuracy. Because if he waits to be perfect, he never starts the journey.
And the big emotional insight of the story is that the fun would be in the journey itself, not in some distant destination of perfection.
The moment he decides to actually seek people out, to listen, to laugh at his own mistakes, he's already won. He's found his motivation.
He has already succeeded.
Okay, let's wrap this up and connect it all back to you, the listener. It feels like we've pulled out 4 major strategic lessons from the traveler's quest.
I think so. First,
Yeah.
motivation is the key. Your why can't be general. It has to be specific, human, and strong enough to power you through the daily grind.
If it's weak or purely extrinsic, your learning will just feel...
Cold and empty.
Exactly. Second, and this is huge for your output, imperfect communication is infinitely better than isolated study. Go out there and use the wrong tense.
Just like the young woman. Embrace your current imperfect version of the language and communicate.
Third, you have to accept that this is hard. Stop looking for magic shortcuts that promise fluency while you sleep.
Accept the difficulty, and that gives you the freedom to struggle effectively without guilt.
And fourth, the process must be lived, not just studied. Integrate the language into your sensory experiences. The food, the smells, the faces. The language lives in the connections you make.
And that brings us to a final provocative thought for you to take away. The traveler realized his initial motivation traveling was just the starting key.
Just what got him out the door.
Right. He understood his motivation might change. Maybe he'd need it for a new job, or for university, or just to talk more deeply with someone interesting he met.
So the current goal just gets you started. The real reward comes from realizing that the endless journey is the transformation itself.
Exactly. So our challenge to you is this. Stop measuring yourself against others and stop studying in isolation. The world is right there in front of you. What specific real-world conversation are you going to seek out this week to begin living the language instead of just planning to study it?
Go find that conversation.